I do believe when you reduce it down to what the essential ingredient is that makes all the difference in all that we do, it's the culture of the school. And the culture of the school really brings to life that statement that we will do whatever it takes for any kid that comes to us. And it's not only on the part of, not only a motto or a belief, but it actually materializes and becomes a reality. So in fact, everything we do is to make it the best possible place for every single kid that comes to us. And I think this started many years ago when we actually established the vision of our school. And the vision of our school is that we wanted to be able to create an environment where we'd be able to develop thoughtful human beings. Our kids would become thoughtful human beings who would also be good thinkers. And they would leave us feeling that they would have a responsibility to do whatever they could to make the world a better place. So how do we make that happen? That became the question, and that was started also years ago. We started that thought way back then, and through the years we've evolved and we've developed two special kinds of initiatives that really seem to work for us as we move forward with making that vision come alive. One of them is Habits of Mind. And the Habits of Mind are it's an initiative developed by Dr. Art Costa, and these are behaviors that he's culled out from all his research that are associated with successful adults, no matter what their employment. And these are behaviors that we directly teach, and some of them include flexibility in thinking, persistence, creativity, listening with empathy, and more. And we directly teach them. And as teachers and professionals, we also model them. So that changes our whole environment. Not only are we trying to make our children be able to be better, more mindful human beings, but it also means that we are obligated to do that ourselves. So it creates a context where we're all actively trying to be lifelong learners. The other program or initiative that has really made a difference is Philosophy for Children. And Philosophy for Children is a program we've connected with the University of Hawaii. It's created largely and actually adapted for Hawaii by Dr. Tom Jackson, who's a professor who works really closely with us in all our classes, and he's just a welcome figure on our campus. But the Philosophy for Children model is an inquiry circle model where our children, starting in kindergarten all the way up through the grade levels, they sit in inquiry circles and they learn to have the guts to express their ideas and not worry about being mocked in any way. They learn to respect each other's ideas. They learn to listen with empathy, and they learn to collaborate and figure out what might be the best next step. So through this Philosophy for Children process, it helps all of our kids, and they learn to analyze something by, can you provide evidence for your support your idea? Can you give us, is that an assumption? What is a bias? They learn all this through that process of Philosophy for Children. So those are two initiatives that really have changed our school because they've enabled our kids to become deeper thinkers and more thoughtful human beings, and it builds in a really common level of deep respect for each other. So we have always believed in providing multiple opportunities for our kids to develop their multiple intelligences, and we do this as much as we possibly can, and we will never stop doing it because I do believe that that's one of the keys for helping our school to be where it is. So what might this look like, or what does this look like on our campus? It means that every single day there are resource classes that happen in which our kids are taught by special teachers. We call them our specials, and these classes include digital media, Zumba or creative movement, which is one of our probably the most popular one. We have sustainability and farming. We have music, and of course physical education. So those are a part of the daily lives of our kids. Also, because we believe so strongly in integrating the arts in all we do, we have over the years written grants for artists in the schools to come and do their residencies with us. And so actually I can't even remember a year when we weren't able to have an artist in residency. We've had different artists, like we've had the Hawaii Opera Theater, muralists. We've had African drumming. We've had Hawaii Theater for Youth. Just multiple kinds of arts that are fully integrated into all we do with our kids. We fully utilize all the extended day, the extended year, and all opportunities we can. Every hour we have a kid, and even past the regular school year, we provide opportunities for them to stretch and grow. So for example, we do have a summer program, a summer school, a mindful learning summer school. We also have sometimes during fall break, we've had an intercession camp. One of the most recent ones was Camp Bhutan. In addition, we always use our after school time too to help, again, expand our offerings for our kids. And after school, we have homework clubs in place. So we have a special homework club. Talk about that more as we get more specifically talking about ELL or SPED. But we have homework clubs for those children who need it. We have after school tutoring by our teachers for those kids who need it. We also have a fabulous after school enrichment program for those children who would like to take special classes, and that is one of the most wonderful things I think that we do, again, just based on developing the whole child, providing multiple opportunities for them to thrive. In addition to what I've mentioned, those are the extended school day. We also, within the school day, during our lunch block, we have lunch clubs that the kids can join, and they're optional, but there are many kids who join these clubs. We try to go beyond our classroom walls and expand our learnings into our community. So we're in a very fortunate location. Our school is, we can do walking field trips all over the place. Like today there's one that's going to Diamond Head. They're going to explore the Diamond Head Tunnel, which I am excited to hear about. What that does is it helps all of our kids expand their knowledge base, and it exposes them to what's going on in the community, and it also breaks down the classroom walls and brings the learning into the community. And then we also invite the community to come in as well. We have a farm in the back of our school, and this farm and this orchard also provide many unique opportunities for all our students to experiment, to explore, to learn about different kinds of foods, to cook, which they love doing, to analyze different insects that are in the farm and what to do about that problem. And it's been, I think, I have to mention that because I believe that that helps our kids have a inquisitive mindset, plus the fact that we have devoted one of our teacher positions to being a science teacher who just does so many hands-on kinds of fabulous experiments with the kids and brings learning to the forefront. So all our kids are exposed to that, and I think those are some of the ways that our school helps to develop multiple opportunities for all of our kids. We are really blessed to have a large English language learner population. Over the years, it's fluctuated between 1/3 of our population to now it's like 20%. So it's a big chunk of our school. The majority of our kids come from Japan and China. And most of our kids enter our school in kindergarten and they stay with us until their whole school career. So that gives us a real good opportunity to work with them over the years. But when they first come to us before kindergarten starts, we have a special pre-kindergarten program. So for about 2 weeks before school starts, we have our entering kindergartners come. It's really flexible. The parents come with them. We have translators in place. And our teachers teach this program, so they get to know the kids get to know the teachers, they get to know the structure of the school day, and they feel much more comfortable about coming to school. So it eases the transitioning for all our kids, but especially for our ELL population. And once the children get into our kindergarten program, in our kindergarten first and second grade classes, every single class has a teacher and a teacher's aide. So we're able to break down the class size and pretty much provide inclusion kinds of opportunities for all the kids who need that kind of support. So for our ELL students, having this extra person in there who is attuned to their needs really makes a big difference, and she or he can pull them into a small group and make sure they're understanding what's going on. Of course, if they come with absolutely no English at all, we have a special teacher who works with those students to help them feel comfortable and learn the basic vocabulary. And this year what she's doing is she's having a lunch bunch. And so they, like in kindergarten, they all eat lunch together on some days, or they can invite friends to eat lunch together with them on Sundays. And then they can talk in their native languages, which helps them bond and also deal with whatever's coming up in ways that they can help each other out. And it also expands their connections with the other kids, because everybody wants to come be part of their lunch bunch. So that's a real good intervention that seems to be working. Again, we have the pullout for the non-English speakers until they're ready to come back into the classroom. We have a reading improvement program, and that is not only for our ELL, English language learners, but it's also for those students in kindergarten and the lower L who are needing more support as we try to develop their readiness for reading. And that's a really strong program, and a lot of literacy-based kinds of teaching goes on in there. And we find that many of our kids who are in that program are then able to go right back into the classroom. So it's a very fluid kind of thing. They get this kind of targeted support they need, and they go right back into the gen ed language arts blocks as soon as they're able to. We also, for our ELL families, we have a parent group, a parent class. So every Thursday, we have one of our teachers meet with our English language learner parents, because many of them have trouble with English themselves. And we go over our school bulletins, because you never realize how difficult it is to move to a whole new culture where you have to learn the culture and the expectations and the language. Some of the other things we do is we have partnerships with, because we are a mindful school and it's an international initiative, and actually so is Philosophy for Children now. We have teachers from all over the world coming to work in our schools for blocks of time. So we regularly have teachers from Japan coming to work in our classrooms, from Korea, from Australia, and other places. And they stay and they live with us for 6 months at a time, and they work in our classrooms. And having the opportunity for our kids to actually be exposed to living and learning with people from other cultures makes all the difference. It's so much better than if we were trying to bring all this forth from just reading a book. And so I think that enriches the diversity and the respect for the multicultures that we are lucky enough to have on our campus. Of all the things that I've said so far, the thing that makes the most difference, I think, for our English language learners, because they do come to us in kindergarten, most of them, is our Senior K program. And just briefly, I'll tell you, that's a program we were reading, one summer reading a book that we had was the book called Outliers. And we got the idea from that book. And it is that we wanted to, with the Senior K program, our kids can start in kindergarten, and then they have the opportunity to either go to first grade or stay for an extra year in kindergarten. And the decision about who should stay in Senior K is a collaborative one made by the parents and the teachers and me. And we all sit together and we brainstorm, would this be a good opportunity? And we always look at it as a gift of time. And this is a class that gives the kids one more year of kind of transitioning to the more academic part of first grade. And we have actually done research on this over the years. We've been doing it like for 7 or 8 years now. And those students who have been in our Senior K program are at grade level or exceeding grade level throughout. So we found that by having the Senior K program and allowing the kids, we listen to their readiness level, there are fewer referrals to special ed, because we're able to address their, through just allowing them to be one more year of grace time, the readiness to be able to become readers. One last thing that I forgot to mention is that we have something called the Orton-Gillingham program in place for actually throughout our school from kindergarten up, and it was originally a program that was specially designed for dyslexic individuals, but we found that it did work for our kids who are having difficulty reading, and we expanded it to include all our kids. We have all of our teachers trained in Orton-Gillingham, And even our aides that work in every single classroom from kindergarten, first and second grade are trained so they can pull small groups and just enforce the reading skills that they need to become readers. In the beginning of our school year, we have something called a data wall, and we put up post-its of every single kid in our school. And we look at the more traditional kinds of measures, the test measures, and we use dibbles, and we look at all the different more traditional measures, and we also dialogue and talk. We have the releasing teachers, so the teachers that had the child last year meet with the teachers who are receiving the child this coming year. And there's dialogue that talks about what kinds of things work particularly well with each of these children, how can we support them to continue their growth. And so from the data wall, we found that such a fabulous intervention, because we take some of the test scores and we bring to life this whole child, and we make the child real so that the receiving teacher can then be ready to put into place everything that will support this child's growth. But we also, at this particular meeting for the data wall, we look at what kinds of resources we want to put into place. So if a child might need extra support reading or math, we have teachers who create classes to small groups to particularly target these needs of our kids. And so we're able to then make sure we're addressing the needs of all of our kids. And many times our English language learner students are parts of these resource classes, along with others who also are who would do well with a little extra support. And through these small classes, they thrive. When a child becomes evaluated for SPED, we spend a lot of time, and it's our fabulous SSC, or Student Services Coordinator, who actually intentionally spends tremendous amount of time bonding with the families of the children who are being evaluated. And through this process, she gets to know the families. The families realize that we're a team here, and they're part of this team, and we're all here to find ways to support their child. But we spend lots of time, and that's time well spent, because throughout their career in elementary school as special ed students, the trust is there. And if something is working or not working, we easily sit together to problem solve it. So that support structure is put into place right in the beginning. But I think the key to the success with one of the keys to the success with our special ed students is that the students are engaged. And once you get the kids engaged, anything is possible. And these teachers are so creative in the ways that they're able to engage the kids. So one of our teachers was realizing that, sometimes a child who may have ADHD kinds of problems or various things, their papers are all over the place, and it's really hard. It's hard for them to write, but it's even harder because their papers are blowing all over. So she thought about this, and she developed, she found a paint that can make like a whiteboard of the desktops. So the kids are actually can't wait to write on their desks. But basically the idea is that this child becomes our child, and we are going to find a way to help this child be successful, and we do. So whether the child is in the special ed, and we use the resource room very, very infrequently, and we use it only to target the specific needs of each student, and most of our special ed students are included to the greatest extent possible in the general ed settings, and all of our teachers are open to this process, and all of our teachers are willing to work with a special ed IEPs, etc., to make it work. And most of our students who are in the gen ed setting, our special ed teachers do go into the gen ed settings to make sure that everything's going smoothly, to make sure that the skills that the children need are in place, and if not, then they have the kids come to a special homework club where they work to develop those skills. So it's just a give and take and a constant dialogue in between gen ed setting and special ed setting. And the other thing that's unique is that our special ed classes use the same materials as are used in the regular ed setting. So they're modified and adapted, but they are similar. So the kids, when it comes to like a P4C dialogue or class discussion, they can come and they can participate just as actively as anybody else. And that the P4C process really is a strong one to help everybody, including the SPED, including the ELL, feel comfortable sharing their ideas. I think the fact that we have so many small classes going on all the time, that it eliminates any stigma. Nobody knows who's going where, and so the kids who go to special ed or B1 simply are going to class in B1 for their language arts. So there is no stigma attached to it because it's all over the place. We have small groups going, and that's very healthy for everybody participating. All we do is we rule out any obstacles. So any time that there might be any kind of financial requirement for anything, we make sure that that is not a barrier, and our PTO is fully supportive of providing any kind of scholarships that need to be in place for that. And basically, it's just finding ways to keep everybody in the school community continually learning and growing, and finding ways to do whatever we're doing, but do them better.